Dr. Maya Chen squinted at the creature standing before her in the sterile laboratory. The morning light filtering through the reinforced windows cast an ethereal glow on its blue-tinted skin. "I am designated Xerx," the Vexil said, its voice melodious yet distinctly inhuman. "The Galactic Conquests has assigned me as your companion and cultural liaison." Maya crossed her arms. "I didn't request a companion." "Requests were not part of the arrangement," Xerx replied with what appeared to be a smile, though with too many teeth arranged in a pattern that made Maya's skin crawl. "All leading human scientists have been assigned Vexil companions. It is a great honor." "It's surveillance," Maya muttered, turning back to her microscope. The sample of extraterrestrial bacteria she'd been studying before the interruption now seemed considerably less alien than the being standing in her personal space. Over the next 3 days, Maya tried every trick she could think of to lose her unwanted shadow. She slipped out emergency exits, created false schedules, and once even crawled through the ventilation system of the research facility. Each time, she would arrive at her destination to find Xerx already waiting, often holding a steaming cup of her favorite jasmine tea. "How did you know I'd be here?" Maya demanded after her 5th escape attempt, accepting the tea despite her frustration. "Your species believes itself unpredictable," Xerx said, its skin rippling slightly in what Maya had come to recognize as amusement. "Yet your patterns are quite clear once one knows what to observe." That evening, Maya attended the International Xenobiology Conference, deliberately mingling with the crowd to lose Xerx among the other scientists and their own assigned companions. She noticed how the other researchers had seemingly embraced their alien partners, engaging in animated conversations or collaborative analysis of the presentation materials. "They're all fools," she whispered to herself, slipping away during a particularly crowded panel discussion. She took 3 different transit lines, doubled back twice, and finally checked into a hotel under a false name, paying in cash. Maya allowed herself a triumphant smile as she swiped her keycard. The door swung open to reveal Xerx, seated comfortably in an armchair by the window, illuminated by the city lights below. "Your evasion techniques are quite entertaining," the alien said, extending a limb that morphed seamlessly into a human hand, holding out another cup of jasmine tea. "Is this how all humans show affection?" Maya's jaw tightened. "This isn't a game." "Indeed it isn't," Xerx agreed, its eyes shifting from light blue to a deeper sapphire. "Games have agreed-upon rules and clear winners. This is something else entirely." Later that night, after Xerx had seemingly entered some form of meditative rest in the corner of the room, Maya accessed her secure research files through an encrypted connection. The access logs revealed what she had feared. Someone had viewed her most sensitive data on human genetic adaptability to extraterrestrial environments. The timestamps matched perfectly with moments when Xerx had been supposedly occupied elsewhere. "So that's your real purpose," Maya whispered, watching the alien still form in the darkness. Her mind raced with possibilities, none of them comforting. This wasn't merely observation. It was intelligence gathering at the highest level. She closed her laptop quietly. If the Vexil wanted to play games, they'd soon learn that humans could be dangerous opponents, especially when cornered. 3 days of meticulous planning had led to this moment. Maya adjusted the settings on what appeared to be standard laboratory equipment, but was actually a modified containment field generator. Her fingers moved with practiced precision as she calibrated the device. "Would you mind assisting me with this cellular analysis?" Maya called out, her voice carefully neutral. Xerx glided across the lab, its movements fluid and unsettling in their grace. "Of course, Dr. Chen. What would you like me to?" The trap activated with a soft hum. A shimmering field encircled the Vexil, the energy barrier specifically tuned to restrict the alien's molecular manipulation abilities. "What is the meaning of this?" Xerx asked, its normally melodious voice now carrying an edge. Maya crossed her arms. "Stop pretending. I know you've been accessing my research files." She activated a holographic display showing a timeline of data breaches, times, dates, and security protocols you bypassed, all matching perfectly with your movements. For several heartbeats, Xerx maintained its pleasant facade. Then, like a wave receding from shore, the cheerful demeanor drained away. Its color deepened to a midnight blue, and its posture changed entirely. "You are more perceptive than the others," the alien said, its voice now lower, more resonant. "Why my research specifically? What does the Concordat want with human genetic adaptability studies?" To Maya's surprise, Xerx's expression shifted to something she hadn't seen before. Fear. "It's not what they want with your research," the alien whispered. "It's what they plan to do once they have it." With a subtle movement of its limbs, Xerx projected a three-dimensional star map from its palm. Pinpoints of light filled the space between them, with one pulsing red dot near the outer edge. "The Concordat's flagship, currently orbiting your Jupiter." Xerx's eyes met hers. "They're already here, Dr. Chen." Maya's mouth went dry. "Why tell me this now?" "Because your discovery about human genetic adaptability is too valuable." Xerx's form rippled with what seemed like agitation. "You've identified a sequence that can resist neural imprinting, what your people might call mind control." The alien gestured, and the projection changed to show cellular structures that Maya recognized from her own research. "The Vexel were once a free species," Xerx continued. "Before the Concordat enslaved us using techniques your genetic sequence could resist, we became their perfect instruments. Adaptable, convincing, seemingly loyal. And now you're helping them do the same to humans," Maya accused. "No." Xerx's color pulsed. "I've been altering your data transmissions, introducing subtle errors to bias time. Your discovery threatens everything the Concordat has built. They won't allow it to exist." The laboratory's security alarms suddenly blared to life, red lights flashing across the sterile white surfaces. "Extract my interference," Xerx said urgently. "The containment field, you must deactivate it now." Maya hesitated, years of suspicion warring with the desperation in the alien's voice. "Please," Xerx said, pressing a limb against the energy barrier. "I could have harmed you many times if that was my intention. I chose otherwise." The security doors at the far end of the lab began to glow red as cutting tools from the other side started to breach the reinforced steel. Maya made her decision, fingers flying across the control panel. The containment field dissolved just as the laboratory doors exploded inward, revealing silhouettes of beings definitely not human. "This way," Xerx said, grabbing her hand. "There's a research vessel in the lower bay. If we hurry, we might survive the next hour." Maya's knuckles whitened as she gripped the unfamiliar controls of the stolen shuttle. The vessel shuddered around her, its systems struggling to maintain stability after their hasty departure from Earth's atmosphere. "The pursuit vessels are gaining," Xerx said from the co-pilot's seat, its voice strained. "We need to make the jump to hyperspace within the next 60 seconds. "I'm trying," Maya snapped, her eyes darting between the navigation display and the blinking red warnings across the control panel. This wasn't exactly covered in my xenobiology curriculum. A blast from behind rocked the shuttle, sending sparks cascading from the ceiling. Maya managed to stabilize their course, but the pursuing Concordat ships were closing fast. She initiated the jump sequence, silently praying the calculations were correct. "Brace yourself," she warned as the stars outside began to stretch into lines. The hyperspace jumped through them forward with brutal force. Maya's relief at their escape was short-lived as she turned to find Xerx slumped in its seat, an iridescent blue fluid seeping from a wound in its side. "You're injured," she gasped, rushing to the alien's side. "Plasma burst. When we were boarded," Xerx managed, its color fading to a pale, sickly hue. "I positioned myself between you and the weapon." Maya helped the wounded alien to the small medical bay at the rear of the shuttle. Her mind raced as she assessed the injury. Despite her expertise in xenobiology, treating a wounded Vexel was far beyond her experience. "Tell me what to do," she demanded, gathering the unfamiliar medical supplies from compartments labeled in an alien script. Xerx guided her through the process with increasingly labored instructions. As Maya worked to stabilize the alien, she noticed something strange about the tissue surrounding the wound. "This cellular structure," she murmured, examining a sample under the shuttle's medical scanner. "It's not purely Vexel anymore." The wounded alien's eyes flickered. "You've noticed. Your cells are showing traces of human DNA integration," Maya said, disbelief coloring her voice. "That's impossible." "Not impossible," Xerx corrected weakly. "Just unexpected. Extended contact with humans alters Vexel biology. Creates connections." Maya continued working, mixing a stabilizing compound according to Xerx's instructions while processing this revelation. "How long have you been changing?" "Since my second month with you," Xerx admitted. "Companions are supposed to be rotated every 4 weeks to prevent biological contamination. I'd requested to stay." "Why?" "At first, to monitor your research more effectively. Then," the alien's eyes met hers, "then because I began to care what happened to you, to humanity. The Concordat would call it corruption." Maya applied the stabilizing gel to Xerx's wound, watching with fascination as it integrated with the alien tissue. "And what would you call it?" she asked quietly. "Evolution," Xerx whispered. "Perhaps even freedom." The shuttle's alarm system suddenly blared to life, interrupting the moment. Maya rushed to the cockpit, checking the sensors with growing dread. "They've tracked our jump signature," she called back to Xerx. "There's an ambush waiting at our exit point." With determination, she began recalculating their trajectory. Behind her, Xerx struggled to stand, leaving smears of luminescent blue against the white medical bay walls. "We can't outrun them forever," the alien said, its voice stronger as the stabilizing compound took effect. Maya looked up from the navigation console, her expression hardening. "Then we stop running. It's time we understood exactly what we're fighting against, and what we're fighting for." The trading outpost orbiting Proxima Centauri hummed with activity as Maya navigated its crowded marketplace. She kept her head down, hood pulled forward to shadow her face. Behind her walked a rugged figure with weathered skin and the confident stride of a mercenary. Xerx in its most convincing human form. "The information broker should be at the far end," Xerx murmured, its voice now deep and gravelly. "Past the synthetic protein vendors." Maya nodded without looking back. After 3 weeks on the run, they had developed an unspoken language of subtle gestures and half-finished sentences. Their current goal: find the mysterious broker known only as the Archivist, rumored to have access to the Concordat's classified files. As they moved through the bustling crowd, Maya's attention was drawn to several human-alien pairs moving with the same synchronized awareness she and Xerx had developed. She nudged her companion discreetly. "Look, other pairs." Xerx followed her gaze. "Companions, and they're humans. You can spot them by their movements, always in each other's orbit." "Like us," Maya said quietly. The disguised alien hesitated. "Yes, like us." They made their way to a dimly lit establishment at the market's edge. Inside, holographic data streams cascaded from ceiling to floor, creating semi-private booths for patrons. An utterly nondescript humanoid figure beckoned them toward the back. "The famous Dr. Chen," the figure said in a voice that seemed to shift gender and accent with each word. "And her unique companion. I've been expecting you." The Archivist granted them access to a secure terminal. While Xerx stood guard, Maya delved into the data archives, searching for information about the companion program. What she found made her blood run cold. "They've been planning this for decades," she whispered, scanning through classified Concordat directives. "The companions weren't sent just to observe us." Xerx leaned closer. "What did you find?" "Each alien species that maintains prolonged contact with humans shows increased emotional development and independent thought patterns," Maya explained, scrolling through neural scans. "Meanwhile, Humans exposed to alien companions develop enhanced neural pathways. She pulled up another file, this one heavily encrypted. The Concordat didn't send companions to study us. They sent them to prepare humanity for assimilation. They're harvesting our neurological uniqueness while conditioning us for compliance. Xerx's disguise flickered momentarily, revealing a flash of its true blue form before stabilizing. That was the original plan, yes. Maya turned sharply to face her companion. You knew. I knew the objective, Xerx admitted. What I didn't anticipate was how contact with humans would change us, change me. It gestured to the neural scans. What the Concordat didn't realize is that human connection is infectious. Companions were supposed to influence humans, not be influenced by them. Maya studied the data more carefully, noticing patterns she had missed. The changes go both ways, she murmured. But that means the plan is backfiring, Xerx finished. Across the galaxy, companions are choosing their humans over their original loyalties. The Concordat is losing control of their own infiltration network. Sudden commotion from the entrance caught their attention. The archivist materialized beside them, voice urgent. Concordat enforcers. They've tracked you. Maya quickly downloaded the crucial files to a portable drive as Xerx's form fully reverted to its alien appearance, combat ready. Is there another exit? Maya asked, slipping the drive into her pocket. The archivist pressed a hidden panel, revealing a narrow passage. This leads to the docking bays. Before they entered, Maya turned to Xerx. You said companions are choosing their humans. What about you? The alien's eyes met hers, shifting to that deep sapphire blue she had come to recognize as honesty. I've known I would never return from the moment I met you. Breathe slower, Xerx whispered in Maya's mind. Their sensors can detect carbon dioxide fluctuations. Maya fought to control her breathing as she dangled upside down from a maintenance shaft aboard the Concordat research vessel. The telepathic link, a recent and unexpected development in their evolving biology, had proven invaluable for their infiltration mission. How much farther? Maya thought back, knowing Xerx would receive the question. 2 more junctions. The central data core is heavily guarded. Below them, armored sentries patrolled the corridor, their helmets equipped with multiple sensory arrays. Maya waited until they passed beneath her position before silently continuing along the shaft, her movements perfectly timed with the ship's ambient noise to mask any sounds. 3 days earlier, they had captured a Concordat scout ship and extracted the access codes needed to board this research vessel, the primary hub for the companion program. Now, suspended in the cramped maintenance tunnels, Maya reflected on how quickly she had adapted to a life of interstellar espionage. There, Xerx directed, indicating a panel above a dimly lit chamber. With practiced precision, Maya disengaged the panel and lowered herself into the room. Xerx followed, its form shifting to blend with the shadows. The data core pulsed before them, a crystalline structure housing the complete archives of the companion program. We have 7 minutes before the security protocols reset, Maya whispered aloud, connecting their decryption device to the core's interface. As data streamed across her portable screen, the true purpose of the Concordat's plans became clear. Maya's eyes widened in horror. Humanity's unique neurological structure, she murmured, scanning the files. They're harvesting it to revive their dying artificial intelligence networks. Xerx moved beside her. The companions were never observers. They were mapping neural pathways for eventual harvesting. Further classified files revealed an unexpected complication in the Concordat's plans. Brain scans of companions across the galaxy showed significant changes after human contact, developing structures previously seen only in human minds, those associated with empathy, loyalty, and love. They're becoming more like us, Maya whispered, astonished. No wonder the Concordat is panicking. Xerx studied the data with equal surprise. The neural adaptation is happening faster than even I realized. These companions, it gestured to various brain scans, They're developing independent emotional responses that override their primary programming. A particularly secured file caught Maya's attention. She applied the highest decryption protocol they possessed, revealing a directive dated just 3 days earlier. Terminate all human companion pairs, salvage neural patterns, initiate harvest protocol. Maya's blood ran cold. They're going to kill everyone. Not just humans, Xerx added grimly. Companions too. We've become a liability. The ship's eye suddenly spoke through hidden speakers. Unauthorized access detected. Security breach in Data Core 7. Bulkheads slammed shut around them as paralyzing gas began to pour from ventilation shafts. Maya barely had time to secure the downloaded data before her legs buckled beneath her. She locked eyes with Xerx as they both collapsed to the floor, consciousness fading. They're coming, Xerx managed as its form began to lose cohesion. The last thing Maya saw before darkness claimed her was a squad of armored figures entering the chamber, weapons raised. The last thing she felt was Xerx's consciousness still joined with hers, refusing to let go even as they were captured. I won't abandon you, came the thought. Fainter now but still present. Not even if they tear us apart. The Concordat brig pulsed with a sickly green light that made Maya's head throb. Across the cell, Xerx lay immobile, its normally vibrant blue form now pale and muted. They had been separated for interrogation before being thrown back together, a final night before their scheduled execution at dawn. Maya, Xerx whispered, its voice barely audible. Can you hear me? She crawled to the alien's side, her limbs still heavy from the paralytic gas. I'm here. They've scheduled our termination for the beginning of the next cycle. The Hierophant itself will witness the procedure. Xerx's form rippled weakly. They intend to make an example of us. Maya leaned against the cold wall, mind racing through possible escape scenarios and finding none. The cell was completely sealed, their neural patterns constantly monitored to prevent even the telepathic communication they had developed. There's one option left, Xerx said after a long silence. But you may not survive it. Maya turned, meeting the alien's gaze. What option? The forbidden merging. Xerx's color deepened slightly. A temporary fusion of consciousness, the Vexel developed as a last resort survival mechanism. It goes beyond our telepathic link. It would make us temporarily one being. Has any human ever? No. Xerx's eyes bored into hers. The physiological strain could kill you, but it might give us enough power to break free. Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. The guards were coming. Maya made her choice, taking Xerx's hand in hers. How do we begin? The alien's form began to shimmer. Think of our minds as two rivers. You must allow the banks between them to erode, letting the waters merge into one current. Maya closed her eyes, focusing on the mental image. She felt Xerx's consciousness brush against hers, no longer just communicating, but dissolving the boundaries between them. The sensation began gently, then intensified into something overwhelming. Maya experienced millennia of Vexel collective memory flooding through her mind. Ancient stars, strange worlds, the pain of subjugation. Simultaneously, Xerx navigated the complex landscape of human emotion, experiencing joy, grief, hope, and love with an intensity no Vexel had ever known. The cell doors slid open. Guards entered to find not two prisoners, but a single being radiating energy that short-circuited their weapons. The merged entity moved with impossible grace, its form neither human nor Vexel, but something entirely new. Alarms blared as the hybrid being fought its way through the vessel, drawing on Maya's scientific knowledge and Xerx's understanding of Concordat systems. Together, they were unstoppable, anticipating attacks before they came, moving with perfect coordination. They reached the communication array, fingers dancing across controls as they composed a message revealing the truth about the companion program. With a final command, they broadcasted galaxy-wide on all frequencies, including the private channels used by companions everywhere. They'll hunt us now more than ever, Maya's voice emerged from their shared form as they secured an escape pod. "Let them try," Zerx's consciousness replied within their merged mind. As the escape pod launched into space, the merger began to fade. The strain of maintaining the fusion grew too great, their separate identities gradually reasserting themselves. When they finally separated hours later in the safety of deep space, both collapsed from exhaustion. Upon waking, Maya discovered she could shift small aspects of her appearance, her fingertips briefly turning blue when she concentrated. Beside her, Zerx opened its eyes and spoke words no Vexel had ever spoken before. "I had a dream," it whispered with wonder. "My first dream." Their broadcast ignited chaos across 12 star systems in less than a day. Maya watched the reports flood their salvaged ship's communication array as she adjusted the environmental controls. The secret moon base they had discovered, abandoned decades ago by some unknown species, now served as their temporary headquarters. Another Concordat patrol vessel reported mutiny, Zerx announced, its form shimmering with excitement as it interfaced directly with the ship's systems. Another new ability since their merging. 3 more companion pairs have reached the rendezvous coordinates. In the 2 weeks since their escape, their message had sparked a movement. Companions everywhere broke conditioning, choosing alliance with their humans instead of betrayal. Each successful defection brought more knowledge, more resources, and more hope. "The retrovirus production is nearly complete," Maya said, examining the laboratory they had established in the base's medical bay. Her fingers briefly shifted color as she worked, blue rippling beneath her skin when emotions ran high, a permanent reminder of their union. Once distributed, it should protect humans from the Concordat's neural harvesting technology. Zerx moved beside her, studying the molecular structure displayed on the screen. "Your understanding of xenobiology, combined with my knowledge of Vexel biochemistry, has created something neither of our species could have developed alone." Maya nodded. Synthesis rather than subjugation. The base's proximity alarm suddenly blared. A small craft approached, bearing the recognition codes they had distributed through their underground network. "More refugees," Zerx confirmed, monitoring the incoming vessel. The airlock cycled open to reveal 3 human companion pairs, and surprisingly, a member of the Ultharian species, a race known for their unwavering loyalty to the Concordat. "This is Commander Nex," introduced one of the humans, gesturing to the Ultharian. "He's defecting with critical intelligence." The commander stepped forward, 6-fingered hands raised in the universal gesture of peace. "The Concordat has begun mass production of harvesting chambers," he said without preamble. "The first human colonies in your outer system will be targeted within 20 rotations." Maya felt a cold dread settle in her stomach. "So soon?" "Your broadcast accelerated their timeline," Nex explained. "They fear losing control completely." Maya exchanged glances with Zerx, their thoughts momentarily merging through their residual connection. They needed to act immediately, but their fledgling resistance lacked the numbers and firepower to launch a direct assault. "We don't need to fight their armada," Zerx said suddenly, an idea forming. "We need to target their command structure." Maya grasped the concept instantly. The companions assigned to Concordat leadership, if they'd been exposed to humans long enough. "Precisely," Zerx confirmed. "Even brief contact creates subtle changes. The highest-ranking Concordat officials have had companions for years. They worked through the night, crafting a coded message that only companions would fully understand, activating dormant neural pathways created by human contact. By morning, they had transmitted it on frequencies used exclusively by companions assigned to Concordat command vessels. 3 days passed in tense anticipation. Then reports began flooding in of command ships changing course, weapon systems mysteriously failing, and classified coordinates being leaked to the resistance. Their moment of triumph was shattered when proximity alarms screamed again, this time warning of multiple hostile vessels approaching from different vectors. "Concordat assassins," Zerx confirmed grimly. "They found us." The command center erupted into activity as they prepared for evacuation. In the chaos, Maya grabbed Xerxes' hand, their fingers intertwining in a gesture that had become instinctive. "Whatever happens," she said with fierce determination, "we face it together." Xerxes' form pulsed with the same intensity. Together, forever. The Concordat flagship hung in space like a metallic leviathan, its hull bristling with weapons capable of reducing planets to ash. Maya stood alone in the transport chamber, her simple white garment a stark contrast to the vessel's oppressive architecture. 3 weeks had passed since the attack on their moon base. 3 weeks of loss and desperate victories. 3 weeks believing Xerxes had perished, saving others during their evacuation. Yet here she stood, summoned for an audience with the Hierophant itself, the ancient being that ruled the Concordat with cold calculation. Guards flanked her as she was led through cavernous corridors to the central chamber. The Hierophant's room fell silent as Maya entered. The ancient being, more machine now than organic, regarded her with glittering optical sensors from a suspended throne. "The troublesome human," it said, its voice resonating from multiple sources simultaneously. "You've caused quite the inconvenience." Maya approached without fear, her grief having burned away such lesser emotions. "Your empire was built on subjugation. Did you expect us to submit quietly?" "Our species sustained peace for millennia before humans," the Hierophant replied. "Your emotional volatility threatens the stability of 12 star systems." "You call it peace," Maya countered. "We call it imprisonment." The Hierophant's mechanical body shifted, components realigning as it descended to her level. "Your resistance is ultimately futile. Without human neural templates, my species faces extinction. Our biological components can no longer sustain natural evolution." "So you chose parasitism instead," Maya said. "We chose survival." The Hierophant's voice modulated to something almost contemplative. "As did your companion when it sacrificed itself for others. A most human action." Maya's composure nearly broke at the mention of Xerxes, but she steadied herself. This confrontation was too important for personal grief. "I've brought you here to offer terms," the Hierophant continued. "End the resistance. Provide willing neural templates from your species. In exchange, humanity will be granted protected status within the Concordat." Maya stepped closer, extending her hand palm up. A gesture of offering. "I have a counter-proposal." The Hierophant's sensors focused on her hand. "Proceed." "We represent what could be instead of what was." As Maya spoke, her skin began to shift, patches of blue appearing as if rising from beneath the surface. Her voice changed, harmonizing with another, all too familiar tone. "We offer genuine evolution instead of parasitic survival." The Hierophant recoiled as understanding dawned. "Impossible. The merging was temporary, a biological anomaly." Maya Xerxes smiled, their hybrid form now fully revealed. "Not anymore." During those 3 desperate weeks, they had perfected what began in the Concordat cell, a permanent symbiosis, 2 beings choosing to become one. Neither fully human nor vexel, but something entirely new. "Your entire approach is fundamentally flawed," they said, their merged consciousness speaking with perfect clarity. "You seek to take what can only be freely given. Connection cannot be harvested or stolen, it must be cultivated." The Hierophant's ancient systems wared as it processed this unprecedented development. "And what do you propose instead?" "Partnership," they answered. "Willing symbiosis between species, not compression and conquest, but collaboration and growth." 1 year later, representatives from 27 species gathered on Earth for the first summit of the Galactic Partnership. The old Concordat structures had been dismantled, replaced by cooperative agreements built on mutual benefit. Maya Xerxes opened the proceedings, their merged form a living embodiment of their guiding principle. "No more games, no more deception. We face the universe's challenges not as separate beings, but as companions. Together, forever."